So back in 2011, 2012 era, I was a very big zombies fan. It was one of the first things I ever looked up on YouTube was Call of Duty Nazi Zombies gameplay. And it's the reason I actually made this channel in the first place. Eventually though, I did kind of fall off from the community for reasons that we'll get into later on. But over the past 2 or 3-ish years, I've been getting back into the game mode. And it's been quite interesting seeing the opinions that the community have now as a whole. Thought I'd make a video talking about the stuff. I'm not really sure what I'm going to name this video because I want to talk about specific things but also not very specific things. Basically the influence that the zombies YouTubers have had on the community, but also just other things that people hold in high regard that I am confused by. So yeah, what do I name this video? I was thinking the zombies, YouTubers, and the community. Kind of like the Witch, the Lion Wardrobe kind of thing. I don't know what I'm going to name this freaking video, so if it's something completely different, there you go. Now, I was going to make this video about 2 weeks ago, but then I got sick, which was really fun, so we're making it now. And unfortunately, Tim Hansen released his review on Black Ops as a whole, so yeah. Apparently there was some overlap in the things we were thinking about, so it may appear that I'm just taking stuff that he said in his video and just regurgitating them. That's not the case. It's not a whole bunch of stuff, but I just felt the need to mention that I'm not just stealing his ideas. But anyways, let's get into the matter at hand. So the first thing I wanted to mention was how people regard solo zombies as more important or more relevant to the community as co-op zombies, which I've always been pretty confused by. The only other person I've heard say the opposite of that was WideNet Gaming, but pretty much everybody else has, been more solo focused when they play zombies or just talk about zombies. Now I did mention this in my response video to WideNet Gaming, why that is. That's pretty obvious, pretty simple thing to understand. It's a lot easier to play solo than to play a co-op. I could play solo right now, and if I wanted to play co-op with somebody that I knew, gotta hit them up and say, hey, want to play? And if they don't respond, then there's no playing. Playing solo is something that literally everybody can do. Co-op, not so much. So it's understandable why the community tilts in that direction. Another factor, though, is, I would say, 2 content creators from back in the good old days. And that's Syndicate and Yodi Slayer. Why, you may ask? Well, those 2 creators made some of the most popular zombies videos at the time, specifically high round videos, which is Syndicate's round 115 on Kino and Yodi Slayer's elite Shino Numa run. And I think you'd be kidding yourself if you didn't think that co-op would be more popular if those 2 creators hadn't made their videos in co-op. It's a pretty easy thing to, consider. So I think they definitely had an influence on the community in that way by making their videos in solo. It really, inspired other people to play zombies in solo specifically. About a month ago at this point, I was watching Lex live stream, and he was watching a video that somebody had compiled all the new records that people had gotten in that year for zombies. And he basically was like, I don't really understand why people would go for high rounds, not just in solo. Like, what was really the point? And, he asked his chat, well, chat, what do you think of this? And, well, most people agreed with him on, what's the point? I have footage of it, but unfortunately, Twitch's video player is the worst thing on the internet possible, so I had to put in the lowest possible quality so it wouldn't just freeze every 12 seconds, so it looks like crap. I'm sorry.
Chat, I don't know why people go for 2-player records. I don't really get that. No gums 201. It's cool, but why? I don't get that. Just do it solo, Chat, do you guys like 2-player records? I don't know. I feel like I would just only grind 1 player. To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. 112 for the 4, yep. I respect the 2-player, 4-player records. I just don't know why you do it.
So as you can see, people are just disregarding co-op records, and Lex himself is kind of what's really the point? What do you mean, what's the point? I don't understand why people don't see the point of it. It's really strange. Co-op is a lot harder than solo for one, so it is more impressive. I'm pretty sure somebody said it wasn't as impressive. How could you even say that? It obviously is more impressive because here's the thing. It's real easy to just run laps around a really easy spot in solo when you have a wonder weapon. Pretty much anybody can horde on the stage on Kino with the thunder gun, but if you don't get the thunder gun or the stage location, like, what are you gonna do? Most people are just gonna go and not know what to do, so just having there be more players, it makes you think, like, I need to develop a strategy that involves more people. It's obviously more difficult. Also, just the dedication that's required to get to high rounds in solo is basically double, triple, or quadrupled when playing co-op, because not everybody's gonna want to go, I want to get to high rounds with this guy over here. Most people are gonna go like, let's get to 3 and then I'm out. So, 100% co-op records are very, very impressive, and I don't understand why anybody could think that they're not. It just doesn't make much sense. So yeah, co-op gets poo-pooed on, and I don't understand why. Yeah, really wish Yodi Slayer and Syndicate had made more co-op videos. Maybe the mode would be more popular nowadays. Maybe it would be more respected in the community. I guess we'll never really know. Rip Yodi Slayer, by the way. Rest in peace, Yodi Slayer. God bless. Alright, next thing is double tap. People misunderstanding double tap. Pretty much everybody online says that it's actually useless and garbage. The only person that I've heard that say otherwise is, again, YNet Gaming, so God bless YNet Gaming. I don't understand how people misunderstand this perk so much. Okay, let's say there's a zombie, here's a zombie and here's you, and you have enough firepower to kill the zombie in one clip, but the fire rate isn't enough to, let all the bullets out before the zombie gets to you. How do you fix the solution? If you up the rate of fire, then you're going to be able to kill the zombie before it gets to you and it kills you. So, double tap. People will say that double tap is literally useless just because it makes you waste ammo more. I don't understand how that's a problem. I don't get it. Like, yeah, it doesn't increase your actual damage like double tap 2 does. Your DPS increases, like your damage output increases. That's a positive thing. How is that a negative? Also, people don't dislike double tap 2 because it makes you waste ammo faster. I mean, yeah, it has the additional thing of actually doing more damage, which is objectively just better. Like, yeah, I don't hear people complaining like, oh, if it only just made me shoot the exact same rate. Like, nobody says that for obvious reasons, because that's stupid, but people do it with double tap 1. It's so funny. People like applaud the PPS8s for shooting super fast, but be like, double tap it's stupid. I don't understand. I don't know if a specific YouTuber like influenced the community to have this opinion, but I do remember Yodi Slayer saying this exact thing in multiple videos back in the day, so I'm gonna contribute this opinion to him. Alright, now let's move on to map-specific opinions. Now, I wasn't really a fan of zombies back in the World at War days, so I can't really say anything specific about the maps that, something that people believed back then but now don't. So if there is like a huge change of opinion from back then to now, I'm not the person to know because I wasn't there at the time. With one exception, really. I do remember people saying that World at War zombies was a lot easier than Black Ops zombies, which is now like a laughable position to have. Pretty much any YouTuber will say that World at War is super glitchy and very, very difficult. Which isn't unwarranted, but I've made a small video basically talking about it. It's very much exaggerated, it's not that difficult, but it is more difficult than Black Ops. I will say I think this opinion originated from the fact that zombies in Black Ops do swipe faster than the zombies in World at War, but the zombies in World at War do grab you a lot more, and it's more difficult to get out of their grasp. Funny enough, when you get hit in Black Ops, there is still a little stun effect that happens to you that prevents you from walking forward, but the difference from World at War and Black Ops is that in World at War, you can't just keep pressing forward and expect the guy to move forward. You actually have to let go and press it again, so he actually starts to move forward. If you just hold it, you're just going to stay there. But in Black Ops, you can just keep pressing forward, you get stunned, you'll stop, but then you just keep moving. That, and there is legitimately a grab feature in World at War, But you can see if you play, like, you can see if you get close enough to zombies on the first round, sometimes they'll, like, do a wind-up animation where they're gonna hit you, but you're also, like, stuck to them. So it's two different things. It's not that they hit you and you get stunned, and that's it. That happens, but you can also, like, get grabbed by the zombies, which I don't think is a thing in Black Ops, but I'm pretty sure it's not a thing in Black Ops. By the way, I'm drinking root beer, not actual beer. Actually, no, this is just water. I just reused the bottle. By the way, I'm super happy that the Secretary of Health in Mexico slapped a label on here telling me that it's excess in calories and excess in sugars. I'm so glad that the Mexican government is letting me know that soda is not healthy, because I needed a label to know that. A label that costs money to put on, because this isn't, like, included in the bottle. This is a separate label to decide to put on because this is imported. Yeah, I wonder how much the taxpayer had to pay for us to know that sugar is bad for you. The label that you slapped on there. I'm so glad. Saving lives, man. Saving lives. So much diabetes will be avoided by a label so that people will finally learn that soda is bad for them, because they didn't know that already. Alright, so get ready for the hottest take you've ever heard about Call of Duty Zombies. Bear with me. Because I know people are gonna, like, react negatively to this. Just bear with me for a few seconds, okay? So a lot of people say that Kino der Toten is overrated. And I'm here to say that Kino der Toten is not overrated.
They're gonna need to teach me Hebrew, Mandarin, Spanish, and French to decipher what the fuck you are trying to say. This is foul. This is absolutely disgusting.
Now hold on, bear with me for 1 second. Don't just type megalol no XD in the comment section. You can still do that, but also listen to me. Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Don't just assume the things I'm saying without actually thinking about it for 2 seconds, okay? Let me say the phrase again. Kino der Toten is not overrated. Don't freak out. Just breathe with me. What does that mean? Let's break down let's break it down. Kino der Toten, we know Kino der Toten's a map, is not, as in it isn't, overrated. Okay, what does that sentence mean? It doesn't mean that Kino der Toten is the best map ever. I didn't say that. So if you think that's what I'm saying, you're wrong. What does overrated mean? A majority of people believe something is better than it actually is, or that the opinion of something is more positive than it warrants it should be, basically, right? So basically means that most people like it more than they should, or like it more than it deserves to be liked, or think it's better than it actually is. That's what overrated means. Alright, now, how could Kino der Toten not be overrated? People think it's the best map ever, and it's not. Well, I'm here to tell you that nobody thinks that Kino der Toten is the best map ever. But let's break it down. Okay, first, now we get into the Tim Hansen video part, kind of, one of the things. Alright, so Tim mentions that this map soared to the top of everybody's favorite maps list at the time, which is laughable, because that is not true. The only people who would say that Kino der Toten was their favorite map back when Black Ops was the newest COD Zombies game were 12-year-olds who didn't own any of the DLCs. Most people liked Kino, but it wasn't a whole bunch of people's favorite. I think people just retroactively think that. People liked it, but it wasn't like, this is the best thing ever. Alright, let's break it down a little bit. So, Black Ops is the highest selling COD game that has a zombies mode in it, so which means that Black Ops, had the biggest audience of players playing zombies. Most people who bought Black Ops didn't buy all the DLCs or any of the DLCs. There's a big section of players that played Black Ops that didn't get any of the DLCs, so not getting any of the DLCs means that they can play Kino or 5, and people don't like 5, so they're playing Kino. Even if you did get one or a few of the DLCs, or even all the DLCs, chances were that one of your friends didn't have any DLCs, and if you wanted to play with them, you're going to have to play either Kino or 5, and again, nobody likes 5. So, most people played Kino der Toten, makes sense. So, Kino isn't just a map like most other maps in Black Ops. Kino is basically the representative of Black Ops as a whole, as it's the map that most people played. People like the map, but again, it wasn't like this is the greatest thing ever, really. It's basically a representative of Call of Duty Zombies at the time because not a whole lot of people played World at War comparing to Black Ops, so for a lot of people it was the first time ever experiencing the mode. So for a lot of people, Kino der Toten was Zombies at the time. Alright, so the DLCs come out and people either buy them or don't, people like them or don't. And then Black Ops 2 comes out, and it comes out with Transit, and everybody knows what we all think of Transit now and back then, but we'll get into Transit later. Transit brought a lot of different stuff in, like different characters, the lava, the buildables, the map size, the Avogadro, other stuff, the weapons. There was a lot of stuff that people immediately kind of went nah to, and a lot of people opted out of playing Zombies because of Transit specifically. I'm one of them. And they kind of skipped over Black Ops 2. Maybe they bought one DLC. Maybe they bought Mob of the Dead. Maybe they bought Oranges. What? Maybe they didn't buy anything, and maybe they just completely skipped Black Ops 2. And then Black Ops 3 comes out, and what do you see as the default map? You get Shadows of Evil. I'm not here to say Shadows of Evil is a good or bad map. I've never actually played the map myself, so I can't really have an opinion on it. That being said, I do remember when Black Ops 3 came out, and I kind of looked over, see what was going on with Zombies, and saw Shadows of Evil, and kind of went, man, Zombies has changed quite a lot, aesthetically at least. But also gameplay-wise, they have that, you can turn into like a tentacle monster, and there's a whole bunch of different characters that aren't the usual suspects. Very just strange. Aren't there like meatball monsters? Basically, a lot of people saw that and thought, what the fuck is going on with COD Zombies? It's not the same. And a lot of people who didn't like that kind of zombie specifically because of the aesthetics and the tone, man, Zombies should go back to what it used to be, back during Black Ops. That map was the best map ever. Kino der Toten was the best map ever. Basically, around the time that Black Ops 3 came out was when people started to say that Kino der Toten was the best map ever. And when people mean when they say that Kino der Toten was the best map ever, they don't literally mean Kino der Toten is the best thing ever in existence. Like, a lot of people who say that, I bet if you, talk to them and break it down, they would be like, yeah, Darius is better than Kino. I don't think people are against that idea. But, again, like I mentioned before, Kino der Toten was the map that most people played. Pretty much everybody played that map, regardless of DLCs. So, when people say that Kino der Toten is the best Zombies map, what they really mean is Black Ops is the best Zombies game. Now, whether you agree with that or not, that's a completely separate thing. But what people really mean when they say Kino der Toten is the best map, they're saying that Black Ops is the best Zombies. People started saying that in response to the newer Zombies, and in kind, people who were still part of the Zombies community that enjoyed Black Ops 3 basically started to say that Kino der Toten was overrated. And I don't think that was incorrect for the time. But let's be honest, who honestly thinks that Kino der Toten is the best map ever? Like, who? Do you? You don't believe it. Do you think you're part of the minority that thinks that it's overrated? Get the F out of here. Name me one Zombies YouTuber that's relevant to the community today that doesn't say that Kino's overrated. I'll wait. I could wait. Name me one. If you name Syndicate, then you're a fool because I said relevant. Syndicate isn't relevant to the community, I don't think. Name me one. If you're typing Chaos, I'm gonna laugh because you're not a Zombies YouTuber. Yes, I've seen the video. I know the list is horrible and laughable. But he doesn't count. What, the one, legitimate person I can think of is the Actman, but he's not even a Zombies YouTuber. And again, I bet if we, had a talk with him, we could get him to say, nah, Darius is probably better than Kino. But when he says Kino, he's thinking Black Ops era of Zombies, not the map itself. In doing, research for this video, I looked up Kino der Toten overrated, and I found a lot of videos of people basically going yep, I'm gonna say it. You might be all mad at me, but it has to be said. Kino der Toten, it's overrated. 20 videos of people saying that. It's you're not part, your opinion of Kino being overrated isn't a Like a hot take. There was a guy that was legitimately trying to convince me that in 2020, because this video is from 2020, saying that Kino Toten was an overrated map was like a hot take. I was like, what are you talking about, man? People have been saying this since 2015. It's not a hot take. So yeah, since nobody actually believes now that Kino Toten is the best map and people say that it's overrated, then it makes it not overrated, because if the majority of people say something, then like the general consensus is that, so it's impossible for Kino to be overrated and people to all think that it is overrated. Because again, what does overrated mean? It means that the majority of people think that something has more value than it actually does, and the majority of people think that Kino Toten that Kino Toten is regarded in higher, is held in higher regards than it actually is. So, therefore, people recognize that Kino Toten isn't the best map, so it's impossible for it to be overrated because everybody knows that it's decent but not the best. So stop saying Kino Toten is overrated, because it's not, because that's not what overrated mean. Kino Toten is overrated doesn't mean Kino Toten isn't the best map. It means what I've said 60 times at this point. So when I say Kino Toten isn't overrated, I'm not saying Kino Toten is the best map. It's decent, but it's not the best. Dries is better, I think. Alright, that was a really long segment for just Kino. Let's talk briefly about 5. Basically the community's opinion on 5 hasn't really changed. People weren't really good at zombies back in the day. There's a lot of people who still aren't good at zombies now, but people were worse back in the day. So having them play a map where at round 5, if you turn on the power, you're gonna lose one of your guns, it's pretty like demanding of the player. So I understand why people didn't like 5, but it's not that hard. Alright, Ascension. I think people hold Ascension in a higher regard now than they did back in the day. Not to say that people dislike Ascension back in the day, but it wasn't like, ooh, Ascension. It was just kind of like, it's a decent map. It's an okay map. It's pretty funny because people like Ascension a lot more than they like Kino, or at least respect Ascension more than they respect Kino. They're pretty similar. Like they're not in like different freaking leagues or anything. They're pretty close in terms of quality, I would say. And if we're being real honest with ourselves, Ascension is just Dries but worse. I'm gonna make a video about that, so I won't spoil that, but it's pretty much the same design philosophy, just executed worse in my opinion. One of the things though that people seem to say that just isn't true is that despite Ascension's Easter egg not really having a reward at the end, that people still really enjoyed it and were happy that it existed. This is not true at all. There was a lot of people who thought that there was a other step that we just hadn't discovered yet. And when people basically realized that wasn't true and the Easter egg ends at you getting the 90-second death machine and that's it, people's attitude towards the Easter egg was, oh wow, that was a huge waste of time. I'm never doing that again. That was a lot of people's opinion. I don't know anybody who, after doing the Easter egg, went, hey, let's do that again. Nobody. Especially the people who were making videos on YouTube, they were very much, like, jaded after they realized how, like, what a nothing burger the reward was. So much so that, I think that actually influenced their opinion on further Easter eggs, because despite the fact that Call of the Dead's Easter egg actually has a reward that's worth going for, a lot of people were still just kind of like, Easter eggs are stupid. Which I don't really understand for Call of the Dead, because, there's actually a reward and it's worth getting, and the Easter egg itself isn't that, challenging to do. But I do think that Ascension's Easter egg was just that bad that at the time people were just like, Easter eggs suck. It wasn't really until Shangri-La and Moon, really, that people were like, Easter eggs are actually worth doing. So, yeah. We weren't like, even though the reward sucks, we still like the fact there's an Easter egg. No, we were just kind of like, this sucks, why is this here? This was a waste of time. Call of the Dead, let's move on to Call of the Dead.
Whilst the map did not resonate with all fans after it released.
Excuse me? Which fans did not resonate? Which fans did not resonate with Call of the Dead? Who is it up?
Well, actually, a lot of people weren't super happy about this map, and for legitimate reasons. So the casuals were really upset about this map mainly because of George Romero, because, you couldn't kill him. Of course, we know that's not true, but at the time, not a lot of people went on YouTube to find out stuff, so their perception was, just what they were played, so, you get insta-kill and you shoot him and he doesn't die. George Romero's invincible, which obviously isn't true, but people didn't know that at the time, and since they couldn't kill him and he was always there, and frankly he was kind of annoying, people kind of went, screw this map, this sucks, why, this is terrible. And the high round community at the time didn't really like this map because there was no traps, and people use traps in higher rounds. One funny thing though that I think people say now that they weren't saying back then was of how lackluster the wonder weapons on the map was. People always hated the VR11, but the scavenger, people really like the scavenger. I thought it was really cool. Nowadays it's regarded as one of the worst wonder weapons, which is silly. It's kind of like the Pokemon competitive thing that I talked about in my Pokemon review, like the competitive mindset or focus influencing the opinion on the community as a whole, because most people aren't getting past round 20 on that map, and they'll be like, the scavenger, you can't get to round infinity. It's like, yeah, you're gonna lose before the thing starts to crap out anyways. Why are you complaining? I get the people who can actually get to higher rounds, who really want to get to round 100 and can't because of the lackluster wonder weapon. But most people aren't getting past round 20 even, so what are you complaining about? Again, it's kind of like the Pokemon thing where oh, Gen 1 has so many Oh, Gen 1 has so many glitches. Oh, he's toxic and leechy, just sucks up all the health. Oh, yeah, it's a competitive thing. You don't encounter that in the main game. You're just regurgitating things that people say. And yeah, pretty much the same thing. People who are who can't get to high rounds and are oh, this is a scavenger, it sucks. You're just saying that because other people have said that. You've never actually encountered that before. You liar. Also, one thing that I actually like that people say now about when they talk about Call of the Dead is George Romero himself. People, whenever they talk about that map, they have to mention, oh, George Romero, they're godfather of zombies, God bless, we're so glad he's here. But at the time, people really didn't care. They were just kind of yeah, he's annoying. People just really hated George and didn't really give him the respect that he deserved. I mean, I did. I always thought it was cool that the dude who made the first zombies movie was in a map, but that wasn't a thing that people really mentioned. Maybe a few people, but most people are just this giant asshole sucks. So yeah, so that's one thing that I really like, that people showing some respect for George Romero. Rest in peace. Also, God bless. Shangri-La is one of the few maps that basically the opinion on it hasn't changed. Yeah, people didn't like it for the reasons that people don't like it now. Tim Hansen's video title on his video on Moon is probably one of the most accurate things ever. Moon is 100% the most controversial map of all time. You either hated this thing or loved this thing back in the day. And I think that's pretty much still the case, so yeah, really accurate video title there. The one thing that really, really makes me just is the fact that people will bring up how gray it looks. It looks so bad. The Black Ops 3 version looks so much better. It fixed it. Alright, let's talk aesthetics. So you're in the most remote place that any living person has ever been. So, yeah, it should feel isolated and not like a Technicolor dreamland. So yeah, I'm glad that it's gray, like the moon is. What do you expect? You're in a lunar station. We expect it to be green and purple? No, it's gonna look dull. Duh. Why would it look dull? So that's one thing. It's just what? Think for 1 second. If we were on, okay, it's like if I was complaining that Shinonuma was too green. It's in a freaking swamp. Of course it's gonna be freaking green. What? Yeah, so that's stupid because of the locale, and it's also stupid because more saturation doesn't equal better in every instance. It's just stupid. Also, the Black Ops 3 version is not better. Here's a few things why. Aesthetically speaking, of course, I'm not going to talk about the weapons and all that, because I don't know. But aesthetically speaking, it's worse. Here's why. There's freaking iron crosses in the map, which doesn't make sense at all. Alright, so we all know that the iron cross here is like a stand-in for swastika, because, you know, they don't have the cojones to actually put a swastika there, which is just all kinds of wrong. All kinds of wrong. So freaking wrong. You can't compare the Iron Cross to the swastika. Yes, the Nazis used the Iron Cross during World War II, but that's because Germany as a whole, as a country, was used that symbol previously, so they were just continuing to use it. Also, go to Wikipedia and look up Iron Cross. You'll find an image of a German plane in 2015 that has the Iron Cross on it. Because they're still using that symbol, you can't compare it to the swastika if current Germany is still using it in their military. You idiots! So stupid. Not only that, but Griffin's Station, unless they completely changed the storyline and I'm just unaware, Griffin's Station was never a Nazi thing. Never. Don't give me that Richthofen's a Nazi crap. No, Richthofen's not a Nazi. Why does he have the Nazi uniform then? That's because Richthofen's model was taken from the World at War campaign and just dropped into zombies because they were reusing assets. But in the story, Richthofen actually approaches Maxis and is like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be making weapons for the Nazis because Group 935 is a Nazi group. It's a group of all scientists all around the world, and this war doesn't concern us. And Max is like, shut up. So no, and then Richthofen goes, that little Splinter Off group makes Griffin Station. No Nazis were there, so why is the face swastika there? It's so stupid. So stupid. Unless they retcon something, I just don't know, and John didn't tell me when I asked him, and he doesn't know. But yeah, no, there's no Nazi things. Yeah, more color isn't better, which is okay. This is really funny because I was gonna make the joke that everybody was just too much of a fan of That Guy Who Camps. If you don't know who that is, his gameplay had higher saturation than normal. I was gonna make that joke, and then Tim Hansen released his Black Ops Zombies review, and if you pay close attention, he upped the saturation of the gameplay, and it looks terrible. It looks so shitty, man. Now, That Guy Who Camps did that because he wanted to be unique from everybody else, which it worked, because if you look at his gameplay, you go, hey, that looks different from everybody else. And at the time, I was like, oh, this is interesting, because nobody else was doing that. But I know Tim Hansen, I'm pretty sure Tim Hansen is doing that because it looks better, which it freaking does not look better. It looks so silly. And I took footage of Moon into my editing software and just up the saturation a whole bunch and, up the contrast and basically made it look so crappy, and I was gonna be like, this is what they want the Moon to look like. And then Tim Hansen did that in his own video, and it was like, that's hilarious. And it's so weird because he did it for his footage, but none of the other footage he used from older videos or any of the cutscenes or anything like that. So it's I can very clearly tell you did that here. Did you do it for his World at War video too? Because if you did, I didn't notice it there, but it was very noticeable in this video. Looks terrible. Looks bad. It looks absolutely ridiculous. So bad. I hope nobody actually thought, hey, this footage looks really good. No, he just upped the saturation, which isn't a bad thing, technically. But that doesn't, fix anything. It looks so stupid. It looks so bad. But anyways.
For some reason, the entirety of this map saturation has been reduced by 50%.
Yeah, 50% from what? That sentence is literally meaningless. 50% from what? You can't just say 50%. You can't just say an arbitrary number or say a supererogatory number and, expect that to mean anything. That literally means nothing. You could have said 2 you could have said by a factor of 2. It's oh, that still means nothing. It wasn't reduced from anything because, yeah, it's fucking stupid.
For some reason, the entirety of this map saturation has been reduced by 50%.
Okay, I just finished recording and I just realized I forgot to mention something. This is specifically something about Tim Hansen. Every time he talks about the moon, he says that the moon has anti-gravity, which is just completely untrue. The moon does have gravity, Tim. That's why, you know how when you jump, you eventually go back down? Yeah, that's something we call gravity. Just because you jump and go down slower doesn't mean that there's anti-gravity on the moon. It just means there's a lack of gravity. He literally said, every time he talks about the moon, he says it has anti-gravity. It always drives me up a wall. Because the moon has gravity. This is slower than the one that's on Earth. If there was no gravity, you would jump, and then you would just never come down. Don't be influenced by Tim Hansen's lack of physics knowledge. The moon has gravity, guys. Don't forget. Never forget. The moon has gravity and always will have gravity. Because why the fuck would the moon not have gravity? Jesus.
Anti-gravity isn't a feature that I love.
Alright, so now we jump into Black Ops. And Black Ops 2. So I've heard some people say that they, as the community as a whole, didn't dislike Transit as much up until like the Smith Plays really made videos talking about Transit and crapping on it. That's not true. We knew Transit was bad when it came out. It killed a lot of the momentum that zombies had built up from Black Ops. Just completely killed it. Made a lot of people just not interested in the game mode anymore, and pretty much like quit the game mode entirely. I'm one of those people. When Transit came out, I was like, this is not what I want. The characters were different. Like, the stuff I mentioned before, the characters, the lava, the guns, just the feel. Yeah, the Colt. Why does the Colt look like a toy? It's just so weird, man. So, yeah, it wasn't like we were like, oh, this is a decent. No, we knew it was crap from the very beginning. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Transit. It's like, yeah, we just always hated it. I think people hate it more now, but it was always like this isn't a good map. Die-Rise is pretty much the same thing. Like, people did not like that map. The concept itself people did like, though, and the Sliquifier, people have always liked that. But yeah, pretty much everything else is just like, yeah, this is kind of like meh. And then we got Mob of the Dead, and I think Mob of the Dead, it's actually kind of funny because getting back into the community, I was not expecting people to consider that map to be one of the best maps of all time. Like, I was not expecting that at all. That being said, when it came out, people were like, hey, this is an actually good map. Like, sweet, we actually got to play a good map for once in Black Ops 2. I didn't play Mob of the Dead a whole bunch. I think that was the last DLC I got. Yeah, because I don't think I got buried. I played it a handful of times. I remember, again, that Transit pretty much killed my interest in zombies, really. So I wasn't playing a whole bunch, but I was watching videos on YouTube, and I do remember watching a lot of NGT when Mob of the Dead came out, and it was like, oh, this is a cool map. Even though it was, again, there was still buildable stuff, and like the afterlife was pretty out there, but it was still better than the other two maps. So I think it is interesting that people like consider that to be one of the best maps ever now. Because at the time, I don't think people would have said that. I think they were just like, this is an interesting map. Buried. Alright, so you guys ever seen Back to the Future 3? Buried is basically Back to the Future 3 of the good maps in Black Ops 2. Because Back to the Future 3 is a good movie, but aesthetically it just doesn't fit with the other two. It's like a Western? Really? Like, we were in the 50s in the first one, then we were like all over the place in the future in the second one, and now it's a Western. This is really weird tonally. And basically that's Buried. Like, it literally is, because it's like a Western as well. It's like, Buried, really interesting aesthetically. Origins, you know, we're World War One. It has like that grimy feel to it, similar to Mob of the Dead. And then we have Buried, and it's cowboys. And it's just like, that's super weird. When Buried came out, I basically went like, what the fuck are they doing, man? It's so stupid. Which is funny, because I think now people aren't as... I don't think people are as against those kinds of aesthetics now, because, you know, there's been a whole bunch of zombies maps that go all over the place with their aesthetics and stuff like that. Whereas at the time, Buried was definitely like the weirdest one. Cause like, what the fuck? Why is there cowboys? Why are we in a Midwestern town? It's really random and specific. Now, that being said, people like the map. Always, pretty much, since it came out. I was like, oh, this is a decent map. But, yeah. Aesthetically, this was weird. And then Origins came out, and everybody went, oh my god, this is the best thing ever! I've yet to play Origins. One of the things that I really disliked about Origins was the characters being changed, and hardly anybody really talking about that. It was like the weirdest thing ever, because I'm looking at these characters and going, they do not look like what they used to look like, and nobody else was saying that at the time, at least that I've noticed. Like, very few people would mention it, and if they did, they would say like a very short thing and then just move on. It's like, Takio looks like a completely different freaking guy. Tank looks like a French dude with his little freaking mustache. What the fuck is that? Richtofen does look pretty much identical, so that's that. But then they, what did they freaking do to my boy Nikolai? Why does Nikolai look like this dude? That's so stupid. Why did he go from like a guy to this cartoon character with an aviator helmet on? So stupid. And nobody would freaking mention that fact, and it was so annoying because he looks so different. Like, okay, Tank Dempsey looks similar enough to his old counterpart, so it's like, okay. Takio looks completely different, but he's Asian, and people don't notice because stupidity. So there's like, yeah, he's Asian, that's good enough. Even though he looks like a completely freaking different person, which always pissed me off. But Nikolai looks like a completely different person. Why did nobody mention this? I have no idea. So stupid. Also, World War I. Okay, I like it. Giant robot, though. Why? See, at the time, we didn't know about the different timelines, so people thought that Origins was like a prequel to the World at War stuff. So we thought that Origins took place in like the same Earth that Doriz and all the other maps took place in, so it was pretty weird seeing a giant robot in the First World War, zombies with like medieval armor on. It was like, what the fuck is going on? It's so weird. But again, then later we figured out, oh no, it's two different timeline Earth things. Okay, but at the time it was like, this is the same. Like, what the fuck? Pretty much since day one, everybody liked Origins. But that ending always sucked. And then Black Ops 3 came out. And again, I didn't play Black Ops 3, any of it. Actually, no, that's not true. I did play it a few times, but not really. And again, when I saw Shadows of Evil, I kind of went like, what the fuck is going on? Because it's aesthetically, it's so different, and I don't think people really like that. And from my understanding, I think even people who like it now recognize that at the time people didn't like it. Then we got the Giant, which everybody was like, oh shit, we're getting the Giant. And then that trailer or whatever where Richtofen kills Richtofen, it was like a cool moment, but also I kind of went like, this is what we're doing. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna make a separate video about this because this video's gone long enough. Has gone on long enough. Jeez, English is hard. But yeah, I need to make a video talking about how Christ on Infinite Earth ruined everything for everybody. But yeah, I'll just leave it at that for now. But yeah, so that's basically my video. I think I went over everything I wanted to go over. This video is probably super long. That's me talking about zombies maps and how opinions of said zombies maps have changed over time and other things that were mentioned. I ran out of water and my mouth is very dry. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you just gonna post mega lol L's in the chat, or are you gonna put some Drakes in the chat? Is there Drakes being dropped in the chat as we speak? Or are you anti-favoriting my video? Favoriting videos isn't really a thing anymore, so anti-favoriting wouldn't be either. Alright, peace out. Leave a comment down below. What did you think? What do you agree on? Does Moon look better with the saturation turned to 9,000? Or are you a reasonable human being who understands that the aesthetic should be doom and gloom like it is in Black Ops? Alright. Peace out. Okay. Clicking off. This is gonna be a freaking long ass video.